Welcome back to my channel. My name is Peter K, but you can call me your finance PT. Now in today's video, we're going to be getting into my numbers. I'm so used to getting into other people's financial business, so I'm really excited about this video where I'll be sharing my 2021 spending review with you. Now I live a fairly modest lifestyle. I'm not a lavish spender. And just to give you a little bit of background before I do share my figures with you, I am married. Myself and my husband, we do not have any children. So these figures are based on how we spent throughout 2021. Now, for most of 2021, we had one main full-time income, which was my husband's, as I'd recently started a new business in June 2020, which is my coaching business. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably know a little bit more about what I do. So as you can imagine, with a new business, I wasn't really taking a salary just yet. The occasional drawings here and there, but primarily we were just living mainly from his income. But in July, I believe it was 2021, I did start a part-time role, which I'm still in. So some of our numbers would slightly change as a result of having a higher income. So essentially, I'm going to be sharing with you how much I spent on bills, well, how much we spent on bills, as it's a joint effort, and we have pooled our finances. So it's not a case of he pays for one thing and I pay for another. Whatever money we receive is basically both of ours. His income is my income and vice versa. And it works well for us, so I can't complain. Again, many couples manage their finances differently, but the way that we manage ours, we're very transparent with each other about money. And it's not a case of this is mine and that is yours. We're very, we have a partnership and everything that's his is mine and vice versa. And it works well for us. We're both transparent about money and we're both fairly good with money too. So that does help. And along the 3 years that we have been married, we have definitely grown a lot when it comes to finances and how we manage our finances as a couple. So I'll be sharing with you today how much we spent on our bills in 2021. We live in Greater London. As you can imagine, it's a very expensive city. There's a lot of bills to pay. There's a tax for everything, including council tax. If you don't live in the UK, that might sound quite new to you, but a council tax is a little bit similar to a property tax, I believe. So essentially, depending on the borough you live in, the amount you pay in council tax will vary. And again, if you are a single income household, meaning that you live by yourself, you tend to pay a little bit less, but that's not the case in our situation. So there's a lot of bills and it is an expensive city to live in. So you may be surprised by some of our figures. You may think it's quite low. You may think it's very high. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. So do share with me, as I do love watching videos like this because I like knowing about, what people spend. It really intrigues me. And it's also nice to know how other people live. So anyways, that's enough of me rambling. I'm going to get into the figures with you. So if you see me looking to the right, I've got my laptop in front of me where the figures are, and I'll ensure that they are up on the screen so you can go through it with me. So in terms of how I manage my finances, I use my personal financing and budgeting tracker. I actually created that, I believe in 2019 or in 2019. I was going to say 2020, but it was actually 2019. And I created it solely to help me to get organized in my finances because I found that I was very disorganized and I always wondered at the end of the month where the money went. I had no idea. I just didn't get it. And when I created this budgeting tracker, it was really just to help me to become more organized. And it really helped in order to budget and plan how we wanted to spend our money and really just to have more of an awareness of where our money was actually going, because that was something we always asked each other, where's the money going? And I don't know, you tell me. But creating this tracker really helped. And I never imagined when I created it in 2019 that a year later people will be using it and finding it useful. So that has been such an amazing thing. So every time I use it, I just remember the fact that other people are using this and they find it helpful. But anyways, let's get into it. So I'll explain a little bit so you kind of understand the structure of how it works. So you have the income section here. I've pretty much blurred out what our income is and how much we saved in the year just for privacy purposes. And I'm not sure if my husband will be comfortable with me sharing that. So yeah, for privacy, I've not shared that, but I will share the expenses with you. So anyway, so at the top, you've got the income section. So it breaks down our sources of income, and it's the same for those that use it. You can pretty much split it and rename it according to your situation. And then you have this expenses section here, which more or less has all our fixed expenses. So those will be bills we pay on a monthly basis. Those tend to be commitments that are pretty much the same month on month. And I'll go through that with you later. Then there's a savings section, which you're able to break down by the savings accounts that you do have and how much we have saved on that throughout the year. And then at the bottom, we have our budget breakdown, but I won't show you the figures yet. Otherwise, there's no point of you watching this video. I want to keep the suspense going. So I just thought I'd break it down a little bit so it's a little bit clearer of how the spreadsheet actually works. So there is actually a monthly breakdown for each month where you would plan out your budget. and you'd also update what you've actually spent. So let's get into it. So like I said, I'm not going to get into the income part, but I will get straight into the expenses. So in 2021, in terms of bills, we had a total of £16,728.95 spent on bills. And that may sound like a very high figure or low, depending on your situation. For me, it's a lot higher than I'd like it to be. But a lot of these things are things that I can't really change. You know, it is what it is, living in an expensive city. And I'd even say in certain areas, like our rent is actually a lot lower than some people that I know, but it is what it is, nothing I can do. So in terms of rent, we spent £11,100. Our rent is £925 a month, and we live in a one-bedroom apartment, which is quite spacey actually for one bedroom. So I'm pretty grateful for that. Our council tax for the year, we spent £1,834.93. Council tax is one of those things, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to pay it. And I've noticed over the last 3 years where we have lived here, it has been increasing every single year. So I am expecting a rise in 2022. I'm hoping there isn't, but I will not be surprised when that letter comes out to let me know that it's going to increase, unfortunately. Oh, and that does remind me, I think I shouldn't have to pay council tax this month, because I think normally in January you don't have to pay because you pay for 11 months, but I actually need to check my bank statements to verify that. But anyways, back to the video. We have a so NatWest is our bank, and we have a monthly charge of £10 a month because of the type of account that we have. So it also includes things like insurance, so travel insurance, phone insurance, and it has a lot of other benefits as well. So £10 a month for that. E.ON is our supplier for gas and electricity, and we spent £889.25 on that. Now we have a flexible contract in the sense that we don't necessarily pay the same thing for the whole year. What happens is it changes based on our usage. So if we use a little bit less, our direct debit will drop. If we use a bit more, our direct debit actually increases, and I actually like it that way. So from time to time, we have to send meter readings, and it basically shifts our bill according to our usage. So my phone bill was £246.30, and that definitely will be less in 2022, because I think at the middle of 2021, I had actually changed to SIM only. So I went from paying, I think, £40 a month or £50 a month down to £20 something. So I know that there'll definitely be a drop in 2022. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Internet was £340.10. Our water bill was £308. Over the last few months, it did increase, but that's because we had a dripping tap, which we kept procrastinating to get sorted out. So I'm hoping that our water bill will drop. We were paying about £24 a month, and then it went up to £33. And again, there's 2 of us at home, so it shouldn't be that high. So I'm hoping that in our next water bill, it will actually decrease. Gym, we both cancelled that. Now we work out at home. I'm still working on being consistent, but I will do it in 2022. Adobe, we pay for Adobe, and our subscription actually decreased in terms of the price, as Theo was threatening to cancel, and they gave us a deal and made it cheaper. So that was £506.40, which may seem like a lot, but it is something we use a lot. So in terms of editing, I use Adobe Spark a lot in terms of content I create for social media. So again, it is being used, so I'm happy to pay that. Netflix, £118.88. Again, we do use Netflix a lot, so I don't mind paying that. AIG insurance is an insurance that I pay for my dad. Spotify, £119.88. I don't use Spotify, but Theo does. Packed Coffee was a subscription that we used to have in 2020. I probably should remove it because we haven't used that subscription for a while. Prime is £95.88. Prime, I will keep because we do actually use it and it's not too much. Stepladder is a small payment that I pay every month. So I think it's £3 or something like that. I'm currently in a savings circle, which is set to finish, I think, in May this year. If you want to know a little bit more about Stepladder, let me know in the comments, as I will probably be opening up another savings circle sometime in 2022, as my current one should be finishing in May. So there is like an admin fee every month, which is what that fee is. Google Play Store, that was a subscription Theo had, but I think he actually cancelled it and he's going to redo it sometime this year because he wasn't using it. So that's £104.39. Microsoft, I do have a subscription, which I pay monthly. Again, it's fairly low. I don't mind, and I do use it for lots of different things, so I'm happy to pay that. SoundCloud was £70 a year, and that was pretty much just for my RSS feed for my podcast. I don't actually pay for it anymore with my personal account, as I now use my business account to pay for that, as it's linked to my business. So that's why that was only £70. I think it's £10 every single month, but I think around July or August, I stopped using my personal account and I started to use my business account to pay for that. Theo's mobile was £305. 6 pence. So as you can see, mine was actually less. His contract is still fairly affordable. It's not super expensive, so I can't really complain about that. And lastly, we have Adobe stock, which was £29.63. And it's only that low because we started to pay for it, I think maybe December or November. So towards the end of the year, essentially, for the first 2 months, I think we had it for free. We didn't have to pay. So that's why that price is fairly low. So overall, that gives you the £16,728.95 for bills. So we haven't gotten into the other parts yet, but we are going to get into that shortly. So bear that number in mind. So I'm going to skip over the savings as I won't be sharing that, but maybe in future, one day we will share that too. So now I will share with you our yearly spend and our budget breakdown. So this will be things, I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit so it's a little bit clearer for you guys. So let's get into it. So groceries, we spent £3,286.04. So I worked that out earlier before I started recording. So that's an average of £273.83 a month. Now, for me personally, you may think that's not a lot, but in my head, I feel like for a household of two, that is too much. I am on a mission to reduce that for 2022. Now, what I can definitely say is that throughout the end of 2021, our grocery spend decreased a lot because I was very, very strict. I was trying to be a lot more intentional with how we spent because I realized we had a lot of food waste. And every time I have to throw things away, I just feel so bad. One, because it's a waste of food. Two, it's also a waste of money. So I'm really trying to be intentional this year about food waste and making sure I only buy things that I'm going to use. And especially with perishable items like fruit and veg, sometimes those are the things that do get thrown away and I feel terrible. So I'm really working on changing that. And also in terms of our grocery budget each month, that's £240 now. And I think that's definitely a more realistic budget for us towards the last couple of months of the year. We were able to stick to it or maybe go over by £5 or so, which is not terrible at all. So I'm really aiming for that 240, unless it's like a month like Christmas where you know you're going to spend more on food. House supplies, we spent £2,000, 41 and 85. That may sound quite high, but in the year of 2021, we bought a new bed. So that's one of the reasons why it's relatively high. Personal care, we spent £2,000, 733.78. That's also relatively high. It's not because we spend a lot on personal care generally, but Theo actually had some dental treatment in 2021, so that was quite expensive. I can't remember how much it was. It was around 1,500. So a lot of that was from the dental treatment. So that's why it seems quite high. Leisure was £900.33. To be fair, that's probably more, but I realized that I actually put a lot of things on the miscellaneous buffer, and to go back and change that would just be super long. So leisure wouldn't be things like eating out. Eating out I've done separately, so you'll see that the eating out figure is relatively higher than leisure. Leisure would probably be things like bowling, or what else could we have done in 2021? Cinema, we went to the cinema quite a lot. We did have a staycation, so that would have included the hotel trip. There is a police going by, but hopefully you guys can hear me clearly. And yeah, those are some of the couple of things that we did in 2021. So we also have a treat me budget. So each month we'll allocate ourselves a certain amount. So outside of our eating out budget, we'll allocate ourselves a small disposable income that we can spend whatever we want on it. As you can see, the figure that we've allocated to ourselves over the years is not actually that high, but that's mainly because we're trying to focus on saving and investing as much money as we can over the next couple of years. So that figure is relatively low, well, in my opinion anyway. So Theo's treat me for the year 2021 totaled up to £1,000, 48.96, and mine was 915.7. Now, it's not because we don't split it equally, but sometimes what I would do was I would take a little bit less treat me and spend more money on something else, or I'd allocate a bit more to my investing. So that's why we don't have an equal amount, just in case people think it's, male domination and all that stuff. So that's the reason. Clothing and footwear, we didn't actually spend a lot this year on clothes. We spent a total of £575.82, and that's mainly Theo's clothing because I actually have a lot more clothes than I realized I did. And it's only probably over the last 2 months or so that I've bought some new clothes. I haven't bought new clothes in a while, and I haven't needed to because I've not really gone out much, and I actually have a lot of clothes, which I'm working through getting rid of things that I know I'm not going to wear again. I'm trying to declutter myself from hoarding. We also have the investing category. We're coming towards the end, so do stay with me, and I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you do enjoy seeing videos like this, or you'd like me to do a video on how I budget each month, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to share it with you. I do love talking about finances, numbers, budgeting. I actually thoroughly enjoy conversations like this, and whenever my friends bring up conversations like this, I get so excited because I do love speaking about this. And I think conversations about money and budgeting and, really understanding how to manage your finances effectively are conversations we need to be having in our day-to-day lives. It shouldn't just be something that is posted on social media or discussed on podcasts. It needs to be in our day-to-day conversations because it's so important and impacts so many areas of our lives. I can talk about it all day, but let me get back to the video, right? So investing, we invested a total of £2,162.67 on investing last year. 2022, we're definitely going to increase that figure. There were months that I didn't invest because I wanted to spend the money on other things or other priorities came up. But this year, we're going to be increasing our monthly investing. So that figure will definitely be a lot higher 2022, assuming there are no major financial changes for us. Travel was £1,770.14. And I think if I was to split that monthly, let me just do a quick calculation. It wasn't too bad, and I'm quite grateful for the fact my husband is able to work from home 90% of the time. He doesn't necessarily have to go into the office, which is great because going into zone 1, if you live in London, you'll know how expensive that is, and especially coming from the zone that we're coming from, it's not cheap. So on average we spend about £147.50 on travel. Now if you don't live in London, you probably think, oh my gosh, that's so high. But trust me, it's not. There was a time we were spending about £500 a month on travel. This is when I worked full-time in Canary Wharf and I'd have to get the train to work. I didn't really have the option of working from home. So we were spending basically £500 a month. So to now, oh, sorry, I'm having a auntie moment. Oh no, help. What am I doing? So for some people, you may think that our travel seems really high, but there was a time where we actually spent an average of about £500 a month on travel. So to now be in a place where we're able to spend just under £150 on travel is absolutely amazing because that includes going to work and also travel for leisure and getting around. So I'm really happy to see that figure because there was a time it was a lot more than that. So I'm really grateful for that because it allows us to use that other money for other things. So that's definitely a big improvement, which I'm happy about. And then our miscellaneous buffer, which is quite high, was £3,213.55. Now that might sound like a lot, but like I said, it is miscellaneous, so it's a mixture of different things. So that miscellaneous category would cover things like gifts that we gave throughout the year, other things that just didn't necessarily fit into that category. So yeah, it's fairly high, and it would be things that I probably just did not allocate to other categories. So this year I'm going to try to be more specific when doing the miscellaneous category so that it will be a little bit more streamlined and not so general. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So that brought our total spend to £20,268.95. Now that probably sounds like a lot, but I don't know. For some, you may think it's a lot. For others, you may think it's not much. So if we add that figure, bear with me a moment. I want to add it together so we can see what that total was. So we've got 20,268.95 plus the 16,728.95 for bills. So in the year of 2020, drum roll, we spent a total of £36,997.90. Now, for anyone that's asking me when I'm having kids, not anytime soon. 36,000, almost £37,000 spent this year. Okay, and I don't have any children. That's a lot of money. That's some people's full-time salary and some people earn less than that. So as you can see, living in Greater London or living in London, it is not cheap. It's not cheap. And we live fairly, in my opinion, fairly frugal. We don't live a lavish lifestyle in the sense that I'm not taking trips to, France every single month. Pretty frugal. Thankfully, we don't have any debt, so that's not something that I have to think about monthly. But it just goes to show how expensive living in London, living in the UK is. It's not cheap. It's not. But anyways, I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me just explain a little bit this bit at the bottom. So where it has budgeted 15,461 pence, that's not necessarily what I budgeted for the year. Each month there's a section where you can put budgeted for certain things and what you actually spent. I've been a little bit lazy some weeks in not updating that section, so that's why the figures seem like there's such a big variation. So I just thought I'd explain that. So let me know what you guys thought of this video. What did you think of our spending? Do you think that the total that we spent this year was high? How did that compare to your budget? And I think it's so important. Being able to have these figures has really, really helped with us in terms of planning out our budget for 2022 and making decisions of how we want to create our savings plan, how we want to budget for different categories each month. And having these numbers has actually showed us what is realistic for us or not. It's so easy to just pick random numbers and be like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to be spending. But sometimes it's not realistic. And if you liked the budgeting tracker that I do use, I'm going to show you briefly, just show you around about the features, what it has. And if you don't yet have a method that you use to budget, I would highly suggest you adopt one in 2021 and really just find what works for you. It's personal finance for a reason. Some people like trackers like myself. I like my Excel sheets. I like being able to update what I've spent. I like being able to plan and see what my numbers are. But also for some people, they prefer writing things down. I would definitely suggest finding what works for you. So I'm going to show you briefly just how it works so that you can kind of get an idea of how it all works. So now I'm going to briefly show you how the finance and budgeting tracker actually works so you can get a little bit of gist of some of the features. And as you'll be able to tell, I'm very proud of speaking about this because this is my baby. And this is also something that I use which has been super useful for me. So as you can see, there is a sheet for each month. So each month of the year, you are able to track how much all of your bills are. So this section here where there's income, you can write down all the sources of your income and the amount. And of course, you can rename it according to what you want. So one could be salary, the other could be commission as an example. And then here where you have date of transaction, the dates at the top would be the date that you paid that specific bill. And you're also able to put in the amounts for your bills and the dates you pay it. Also, if I just slide across, you will be able to see there's a section here that has bills left to pay. So this would show you, based on the dates you've inputted, how much money you've got left to pay in bills until the end of the month. So this would update daily, depending on the date that you open your tracker. As we are on the date of recording, the 10th of January, and I haven't put anything in, I'm going to update one of these dates that are for later on in the month. So you'll be able to see that figure change. So I've updated expense 6 to £600, and as you can see, updated that figure for us. So this person would have £600 left to pay of bills until the end of the month from the date that I'm checking. So as you can see, also, you've got total expenses, and it would show you your income after expenses, which realistically, that's your real income. That's what you have to play with. That's what you've got to budget from. We've also got the savings section here, which you are able to rename according to the different savings pots you have or goals that you have. And you can essentially allocate how much you want to save on each thing. And then we have the categories at the bottom, which also you can rename according to how you budget and what you spend money on. You're able to essentially allocate how much you want to spend on each category. So for example, for groceries, we'll put 100. I wish that was a reality for me, but it's not. And to be honest, I want to eat nice food. So you can put your monthly allocation, and then as you can see, updates here to let me know how much is unallocated. I use a zero-based budgeting method. If you want to know a little bit more, I'm pretty sure I have a video on it too, which I will link. And also, again, you can do the same for each category. One of the great things you can do is update weekly what your budget's going to be. So if your budget's 100 for a month, let's say you decide to do 25 each month, 25 each week, sorry. You can split that across, and then most importantly, setting a budget is one thing. Updating and tracking your spending is another thing, which is where a lot of us fall off. And this is also key. So updating what you've spent. So let's say week 1, you've actually spent £30. So you've gone over budget by £5. As you can see, the variance has updated to -5, which shows you've gone over budget. If I was to put this to 25, it's 0, so you're on budget. If I make this less than the budget, you can see that it's in a positive, which is great. That's kind of where you want to aim for. So I'm going to slide across just to speed this up. You can now see there's also a section on budget remaining. So that will let you know how much is left in that particular budget. Based on what you've updated in saying that you've spent, it's going to let you know how much is left in your budget and the total that you've spent so far. And then if you slide across, you can see there's total budgeted, money spent, and the variance. So this would update based on the budgeting sections that you'll fill in weekly and what you've actually spent. And it will pretty much be the same across the year. And one of the great things, like I shared earlier when I was showing you what I've spent and how I was able to get all these figures, is I updates for you in the yearly total section. So let me just zoom in so it's a little bit easier for you to read. You can see it would basically update how much income you've received after tax, or depending if you're self-employed and you have to pay taxes later. And then you'll also see it's going to update all your bills for you here. So you won't even need to think about it or be doing the maths yourself. And same with your savings. You'll be able to see how much you inputted theoretically into a savings account each month, and you'll also be able to have a breakdown of how you spent in each category. So this for me has been a game changer and has been for a lot of people that have tried out my tracker. So if this is something you want to add to your financial tool for 2021, definitely head over to the link in the description box where you'll be able to grab yourself a copy only for $3.99, the price of what, your favorite coffee. And I'm sure that if you actually follow the steps, if you are consistent, you'll be able to see changes in your finances, and you'll also be able to, most importantly, understand where your money is going. You know, it takes time to build new habits, but it's all about taking that first step. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video today. I hope you found it useful, and do let me know in the comments other types of videos that you'd like to see. I'm currently in the process of understanding what type of content I want to put out there, but I want to ensure that I'm not only putting my time and effort into videos that I like, but actually videos that you guys want to see, that you find useful. So definitely let me know in the comments. If you did like the video, please do a like and subscribe so that you can stay up to date with my videos. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video.